to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting a reading vlog. And it's going to be a rereading vlog. I try not to do a ton of rereading. I don't count rereading towards my books I've read towards the year. And I know it's like controversial, but like honestly, like I don't, like it's weird to me that those sorts of things are controversial. Like why do you care how I count my books? Anyway, I don't count rereads towards my books because otherwise I would reread the same things over and over again. When I was in high school, I reread Twilight like 15 times, and like really my life is like trying to prevent myself from falling back into that trap, you know? So I don't do rereads a lot, but recently I've been really inspired to reread the Emily Henry collection, her adult rom-coms. I love Beetroot. It's one of my favorite books of all time. I've reread this book multiple times already. I like finished this book. The first time I read this book, I finished it and started it over. Like I closed the last page and I started again at the beginning. So I love this book. I adore this book. I reread this multiple times, but I'm excited to read it for real. And I'm also not an annotation girly, but I think I'm going to annotate lightly Beetroot. And by annotate, I mean probably just like underline some of my favorite lines, maybe write a cute note in the margin or two. But one of the reasons I have books that are physical is so I can loan them out to people. So I don't want to annotate it so much that I would be embarrassed to give this to someone. Although I am tempted to write quotes all over the cover, because there's a girl on Book Talk that I see that does that. She writes her favorite books on her book cover as she reads, and I do think that is like stunning and gorgeous, and I might do that as well to Beetroot. But I do know I wanted to, for all of them, kind of underline favorite bits and moments. So that's kind of the goal, is I'm going to reread these three. So I've reread Beetroot a bunch. It's my favorite Emily Henry book. It's one of my favorite books, period. And then we've got The People We Meet on Vacation. I've only read this book once, and I read it right after I finished A Little Life. And honestly, I think the fact that I just finished A Little Life really tainted my experience, because it was still really sad. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and I'm wondering if upon a reread it'll be a 5-star book. But I haven't reread this one. I'm excited. I read it right after it came out last year. Excited to reread it again. Emily Henry's most recent release, which I'm holding upstairs. Emily Henry's most recent release, Book Lovers. I read this immediately after it came out, like 2 months ago, a month and a half ago. I'm really excited to reread it. I loved it. It was really good the first time. I gave it 5 stars. What gorgeous older sister dynamics. I'm excited to give it another read as well, and to see if there's like bits I notice the second time through that I didn't notice the first time. Hi. We're in my living room. The lighting is like truly heinous. Probably because I'm like not facing a window, but if I face the window, then you'll just get big blocks of window reflection in my eyes. I'm still reading Beetroot, and I am just like reading it this time. I'm just noticing how like beautifully it's written. I think sometimes, at least in the conversations that I've heard, we get kind of so enamored with like the characters, which like the characters in the story in this are like so stunning and it's so readable that we like forget how, or we don't notice perhaps like how beautifully written this is. I'm gonna read you a line. This is from page 103 in my copy, but it's where Gus and January are meeting the woman whose sister was in the cult. So it's like their first outing in their like field trips for all these things. And she says about this woman, "For a second she was stock still and somber, a Midwestern Madonna in a stone pieta, some sacred memory cradled in her lap where we couldn't quite see it." Like, I'm sorry, that's stunning. And I've never seen anyone pull out that quote. Like, I don't think I noticed it the first few times I read it, or at least I have no memory of noticing it. Like, that is beautiful. Like, Emily Henry, like, she gets a lot of praise, and, like, rightly so, for her, like, snappy dialogue, and these men, like, Augustus Everett is golden, but, like, it is beautifully written, and I think their beautiful writing contributes to all those things. Like, that's what they're built out of, but I just, like, and I'm reading this, and I'm like, do not reduce her. Do not reduce her. Not that like talking about her romance as a romance writer is a reduction, because I think that's a reduction of the genre that it doesn't necessarily need. Not that I was not confused about that before, but I'm just, as I'm reading this again with like slow, fresh eyes that have like know the story well, and so don't need to kind of focus it on the plot. I'm really just like soaking in this writing that is like beautiful around every turn, and the way that she uses metaphor. She's just like such a queen. Such a queen. I love it. Anyway, I'm gonna keep reading. I'll keep you updated. This is very moody lighting. We're still reading this, obviously, and I'm just like dying over how like fucking good it is. And then I just squealed because he goes, I lied, he whispered against my ear. I have read your books. Like, I forgot about all this cult stuff. Like, she explores it, like, so beautifully. Like, how is this book so much better this time I'm reading it? Like, it was, like, 5 stars the first time I read it, but now it's, like, 6. I just finished the drive-in scene with Gus and Junior when they go to the drive-in movies and they make out in the trunk. Ugh, it's a good one. It is a really good one. I couldn't remember the last time I had been this turned on. Actually, I could. It was 7 years ago in a frat house basement. Excuse me, Miss Emily Henry, what? It's so good. It's so good. I can't get over how good it is. I know I've already read this multiple times, but, like, I'm just, like, continually impressed with how, like, brilliant this book is. I'm crying. It will not be the last time I cry during this book. I just finished the, chapter 17, the line dancing parking lot scene. If you read Beetroot, you know. This is where Gus, like, talks about his divorce and, like, what happened to him as a kid. It's, like, this scene is, like, probably one of my, I don't know if it's one of my favorites, sounds a little too positive, but it's one of the scenes I think about most often in this book. Beetroot is one of my favorite books, not only because it's brilliant, but because I, like, read it, I think, at, like, a really pivotal time. I read Beetroot in January of 2021, and I had really recently finished my first ever novel. I finished my first novel in the end of 2020. I had, like, very complex emotions about finishing it because I had reread it at this point and knew it was, like, quite bad. It was not good. And I was, like, trying to figure out how to fix it at this point in time. And I remember reading the scene and just being like, I want to write scenes like that. I want to write characters that you fall in love with in the same way that you, like, my heart breaks for Gus every time I read that scene. When it just, like truly shatters my heart. This book is so good. I think it will forever and always be my favorite Emily Henry novel because of that personal connection, but also because of just, like, the care and the detail and the complexities of these characters, because Emily Henry did such a stunning job writing them. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to reading. Update, I am crying again. We're, like, not that much further. Here's what did it to me. And with Jack, I went on, we love the best versions of each other, inside our picturesque lives. There were 1,000 times I'd thought, he's the perfect boyfriend, but once my dad was gone and I was furious with him, but also couldn't stop missing him, I'd realized I'd never thought Jack is so perfectly my favorite person. And I just cried, partially because of that, but also because the dedication to this book. It says, for Joey, you are so perfectly my favorite person. Okay, update. I'm crying again. Leave me alone. I just finished the part, like, the book signing, where Gus's ex-wife shows up. And now I'm just starting to read this part where Sonia is on January's porch. And I've never really thought about it before, but, like, really Sonia got, like, shafted in this situation. Like, she really got the short end of the stick. She's, like, reading to January on the porch, and she is talking about how January's dad was the first person she ever loved. And she thought she was going to have a second chance at life. I thought, I'm going to live here and die until I die with a man who loves me. And January's like, he was still married. And she realizes that Gus is still married. Like, she could very easily be Sonia. And she's not. She's not Sonia, right? Spoiler, she ends up with Gus. But she, like, very easily could have been. But Sonia is Sonia. I also do know she's fictional, okay? It's still very sad. It turns out Sonia's actually doing fine. I read, like, 2 more pages. She's fine. She's with the man she loves now. So Sonia is not sad and, like, living a miserable, alone life. Although, like, he did sell this house out from under her, which is, like, kind of a scummy move. A little bit. Every time. I'm obsessed with how this turned out. Look how good. We've got quotes all the way down the front. And then again up the side. Beetroot is just as good as I remember it. I think this will forever be a favorite that I can just like reread again and again. Their story is like so sweet and beautiful. This time I did have the addition of reading the layover, the bonus epilogue that Emily Henry sent out in her email newsletter a couple months ago, which I did print and does live in the back of my copy of Beetroot. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, we're on to The People We Meet on Vacation. I finished Beetroot, as I talked about. So we're starting The People We Meet on Vacation. I'm going in release order. I'm excited to reread this one. Like I've mentioned, I think, this is my first time ever rereading this one. Beetroot, I've reread. It's over there. I've reread a couple times. What I remember from this book, reading it the first time, I remember kind of the gist of the plot, but what I remember as far as my enjoyment level was that I felt like Alex and Poppy had, like, amazing chemistry. Like, I wanted them to get together so badly. My big struggle with this the first time I read it was that I didn't fully believe the ending. But again, I read it right after I read A Little Life, and I think I maybe was just feeling a little cynical. So I'm excited to jump into this again. I think it'll be a fun read. I'm sure it'll be kind of quick. But I will be reading this probably while I read other stuff over the next few days.
I'm like 60 pages into The People We Meet on Vacation. One of the things I'm remembering is that even though this book is probably my least favorite of Emily Henry's adult romances, although we'll see. Maybe I'll have new thoughts and opinions once I finish it. I forgot how like amazing the chemistry between Alex and Poppy is. Like they're just like it's French lovers done like impeccably, and I'm obsessed with it already. So it's that. 60 pages in, she's just been like, R&R is not gonna, her magazine isn't gonna send her to Palm Springs, so she is having to foot the bill. But I'm like excited. I forgot how like delightful their chemistry is. I don't know. It's actually like 2 p.m. I know it looks like it's the literal middle of the night, but it's not. So reading The People We Meet on Vacation, and I'm crying. Just a little bit. It's just like so sweet. Like I think the best part of this book is Poppy and Alex. Like mostly Alex. Alex is like still wonderful. Emily Henry writes Chef's Kiss Men. Right now, I'm reading about their trip they took to Napa, and she's talking about her current boyfriend and how he doesn't marry her and how she feels like she's never going to get married to anyone. And Alex is like, I love you, and it's so freaking sweet. Alex is throwing his back out, which I do love. Puppies take care of him because that is my favorite trope. But they're like talking, and he is talking about how they don't want the same things, and how he wants all the boring things in life that she doesn't want, and he doesn't want to wait. I want all the stuff my brothers have, he says. I want to get married and have kids and grandkids and get really fucking old with my wife and to live in our house for so long that it smells like us. Like, I want to pick out fucking furniture and paint colors and do all that Linfield stuff that you think is so unbearable, okay? That's what I want. And I don't want to wait. No one knows how long they get, and I don't want 10 more years to go by and to find out I have fucking dick cancer or something, and it's too late for me. That stuff is what matters to me. Anyway, that made me cry. Just like a little bit. But this is the first tears. Beetroot, at this point, I already cried at least twice. With more thoughts. So I think one of the things I've been thinking about is how Beetroot, if you don't know the story of Beetroot, Emily Henry wrote Beetroot, put it in a drawer, and then saw like a lot of other rom-coms coming out, and then like talked to her agent about it and told it. It was like a pivot from all the YA books she'd already written. And this book was like kind of like a sequel to that. I mean, not actually, but like it was like her continuing in that vein. And the dedication on this one says, I wrote the last one mostly for me. This one's for you. And I think that's one of the reasons that one like doesn't hit quite as hard is because it is written for us. Like, I think there's a sense that you can feel a little bit more that this is written for readers, where Beetroot was written for herself. And I've always kind of felt like this very personal connection to Beetroot and Emily Henry because of how she's talked about it, but also just because about how it's written in itself. Guys, I think I lied to you. This might just be as good as Beetroot. Maybe not quite, but it is making me cry again. We're like 20 pages later. They're in New Orleans. This is the last sentence of chapter 17. I'm crying because I'm relieved. Because I will never again feel as alone as I did during those long nights as a kid. As long as I have him, I will never be alone again. I think the thing that is like so magical about this book is how much you're like Poppy and Alex, like, have to be together. They have to be together. They have to be together. I don't know if I've read a book where like, two people have needed to be together more than Poppy and Alex. But, like, I don't know if they make it work. Anyway, we're going to keep reading. But I just wanted you to know an update on the tears. There's more. Because she talks about how lonely it makes her feel, realizing that no one will be able to, like, be able to fully understand her brain, and she'll never be able to see someone else's brain. And then she's like, but I understand Alex in that way. That is indeed a tear. A tear in my book.
I finished The People We Meet on Vacation over the weekend, and I wanted to give, like, final thoughts. Especially since I don't know how many of the clips I'm going to be able to use, because I downloaded some clips last night or yesterday for my vlog for the week, my weekly vlog, and the audio was so atrocious. Like, I know a phone vlog is, like, not ideal, but, like, why was the audio so bad? I'm hoping it was just, like, a fluke from that moment that I was vlogging in my car, and not that every audio clip is garbled, because I had to throw those all away. But anyway, back to The People We Meet on Vacation. I finished this book. I loved it. I loved it a lot more this time through. The ending is still not, like, my fave, but I do want to say something controversial. Controversial hot take after finishing The People We Meet on Vacation. Beetroot is still my favorite. This Queenie Bop, my favorite Emily Henry book. By far and away. I still have book lovers to read, but, like, no one's going to be touching this Beetroot. It's amazing. But I do think that Alex Nelson from The People We Meet on Vacation might be my favorite Emily Henry man. I know, wasn't an Augustus Everett girly. And, like, still Gus is, like, literally 5 stars perfect in every way, but I think Alex Nelson might be better. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I gave this 4.5 stars because I didn't love the ending because I wasn't convinced. Here's what happened. Before I read the very end of the book, somehow I encountered in the reading guide this question. You see this question right here? Question number 10. Do you think Poppy and Alex are going to make it? And that question, like, literally destroyed my reading experience for this book, because I read it thinking about the whole last quarter of the book. Because I was like, I'm not sure. But now I do think they're going to make it, because I think I was confused about kind of Poppy. I think I had a clearer vision of Poppy this time. Because Poppy doesn't really want to travel. It explores that, right? Like, Poppy wanted to travel because she wanted to feel connection to people. And she felt like when people got to know her, they didn't like her. And so traveling allowed her to meet new people all the time, and no one actually got to know her. But now she has Alex, and one, Alex knows her and loves her anyway, but also she has this job where she's getting to, like, really connect with people. And they're going to try out some new stuff, and I think they're going to make it work. I also think that these guys are just, like, they need each other on a level that is different than almost any other romance I've read. Like, they, like, really are two halves of a whole. Like, they need each other. Like, Augustus and January are, like, made for each other. Beautiful, beautiful, perfect puzzle pieces. But I don't think they need each other in the same way that Alex and Poppy, like, need each other. And so I think part of this was, like, if they don't work, like, I don't know if Poppy will make it. You know, like, they have to work. Where, like, if January and Gus, heaven forbid, didn't make it in the long haul, like, January would be able to, like, be resilient enough to move forward. And I just don't know that Poppy would be. And I think that was also kind of troubling for me. Coming off of a little life in which Jude cannot live without Willem. So that codependency was a little frightening for me. Would I give it 5 stars this time? Yeah, like, probably. Maybe 4.5. I don't know, it's, like, sitting right there between a 4.5 and a 5. It's not as good as Beetroot, but Alex is better than Augustus. Anyway, it's beautiful and gorgeous. I, like, loved rereading it. I'm so glad I did. It's a really fun read. It's fun in a way that Beetroot is not. I mean, Beetroot is fun too, but I felt like Beetroot had, like, a lot. It was a heavier read than this one. Like, this one felt lighter. Poppy doesn't have nearly as much trauma as January or Augustus. I mean, Alex has some trauma, like his mom died, and the moment where he's talking about, towards the very, very, very end, when he's talking about his mom dying and him not wanting to love Poppy as much as his father loved his mom, because he didn't want to, like, lose her and, like, fall to pieces. In the same way, so sweet. Alex is just, like, a 10 out of 10 gem. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Still not my number one. I don't know. We'll see if it's better than Book Lovers, though. I think that could happen. Maybe. We do love Nora, the oldest sister. I love an oldest sister. I'm an oldest sister girly. I am an oldest sister, and so I really like associate strongly with Nora. Part of me doesn't want to read this. I like just read it. I kind of think it will lose its magic if I read it again. But then is my vlog kaput if I don't read this? I'm not gonna read this. I just decided. I read this back in May, and I'm like not ready for a reread. I'm just like not ready for a reread. But I will talk about how things have changed. I still think my ranking goes Beetroot on top. She's the queen bee for a reason. Beetroot is the winner. Then I think it goes book lovers. And then I think it goes people we meet on vacation. I think that's the order. But in terms of like books. But in terms of favorite, I think Alex Nilsson is my favorite man that Emily Henry has ever written. He is excellent. And then I think Nora might be my favorite girl. I love January a lot too. I love that Emily Henry writes more complex romances. That's why they're 5-star books to me, where other romances normally like sit in the 3 to 4 star range. I need a little bit more emotional depth, and reading an Emily Henry book is a little bit like going to therapy. I feel like a lot of it is like looking in a mirror. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Emily Henry. Hope you enjoyed this cutie patootie little reading vlog. I know I did. I'm glad we decided together that I was not going to finish Book Lovers. I think that was the best choice for everyone. I will see you on Sunday where I do a reading vlog recap, which like I'm going to give you a little preview. I have not read much this week. So unless things really turn around, it's like Wednesday mid-afternoon. It's going to be kind of a boring reading vlog because how much have I finished this week? I think I finished 2 books this week. And one of them was The People We Meet on Vacation. So things might not go great, but you should still stick around to see that. Maybe things will pick up Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's still a lot of week left. Have a great day. I will see you later. Sorry I kept watching myself in the viewfinder. I cannot help myself. It's very difficult. There's just like a cute little image of myself and I just want to look over there. It's bad, I know. I know, because I watch myself edit. I know, you know, we both know.